Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please use your call signs today. We will start using our call signs, and will whatever you're saying, you'll end with your call sign or start with your call sign. So we have Manshi. Very good afternoon, Manshi. Manshi, assign yourself a call sign if you are aware how to do it. Good. Victor Tango, Mike Alpha, November. Got
Noted,
it.
sir.
Garvesh, rename yourself with your what do we say? Rename yourself. The call sign that you have selected on the chat. Rename yourself. And please rename as 1 and 2 because you have two devices. So both devices, rename yourself with the call sign and just put 1 and put 2. Students, sorry to cut you short. Just a second. Follow my voice, everyone. Every 5-10 minutes of the lecture, we will be doing a check known as readability check, where you will be following my voice only and we'll be simulating a realistic realistic civil aviation environment. So, Garvesh, Victor Tango, Golf, Romeo, Sierra is your call sign. Number 1, I have got. Number 2, also you rename, where you have written Garvesh to. Okay. All right. And Gurpreet, you have to rename yourself on the app. You remember your call sign? Rename. Okay.
Mumbai Gram, Victor Tango, Charlie Bravo Lima. How do we read?
Victor Tango, Charlie Bravo Lima, Mumbai Ground, read you 5. How do you read?
Radio 5, Victor Tango, Charlie Bravo Lima.
Great. So, very good afternoon, everyone. Let me greet everyone. Just a second. Even Harsim is joining us. First 5 minutes, what is the instructions? By the time everybody settles down, by the time the classroom settles down, you will revise what you have done in your last class. And you will see if you have any doubts. Okay. I'm very excited for today's class because I have a lot of updates and a lot of things to teach you, and we have limited time. So if you find sir to be hyperactive, you can ask me to slow down if I'm too fast for you. Actually, there is an RT phraseology for the same. Speak slower. We will come to that. Gurpreet, are you able to rename yourself? Gurpreet, आप अपने आप को rename कर पा रहे हो Zoom app पे? Participants पे click करके अपने icon पे click करके आपको Victor Tango Golf Romeo आपने जो भी उस दिन select किया था वो choose करना है आपको. Try करो, होगा. Okay. So we have Gurpreet. I can see Gurpreet. Gurpreet, Victor Tango Golf Romeo Papa. Nice to see you. Very good evening. Welcome to the class. See if you have any doubts. You can write in the chat box also. You can talk. We have Victor Tango, Charlie Bravo, Lima Bhavin. Bhavin, nice to see you. Welcome to the class. And we have Victor Tango, Mike Alpha November, Manshi. Manshi, welcome to the class. Nice to see you. So Gurpreet, Bhavin and Manshi, how are you doing today?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you.
I'm also good, sir. What about you, sir?
Good to know. I am fine. How about you, Gurpreet? आप कैसे हो? How are you? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Good, sir. But how are you, sir? What about you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. You look a little stressed. What happened? Technical
Nothing,
issues?
sir. No, sir. Nothing.
No. Fine, fine. If you have any issues, let me know. Nice to see. Even if 2-3 students have the videos on, it gives me an experience of a live class so that I can see your expressions and understand whether you are following instructions or not, or whether you are getting my jokes or not. Remember, other students, you have to use emoticons and you have to use the chat box to express or to acknowledge if you cannot talk, or you can always talk by raising your hand also. So we have Victor Tango Golf India Zulu, that is Anchal. Anchal, welcome to the class. How are you? Anchal, I guess, will be texting. All right, good to know that, Achal. Welcome. Please revise, students. Whoever has attended lecture 1 and lecture 2, please revise. Victor Tango Papa Romeo Kilo. Pratik, how are you? Welcome to the class.
Good, sir.
Good. Pratik, we need a lot of energy. Are you ready?
Sir, I'm good. Yes, sir.
Yes, very good. That's more like it. Very nice. Victor Tango Golf Romeo Sierra. Garvesh, this is your first live class, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Are you excited?
Well, yes, sir.
And have you gone through the past 2 lectures or not? For this
Yes,
batch
sir.
X,
I see only first lecture.
only first lecture. No problem. Today, what we are going to learn is something that we have also learned a little bit of it in part lecture 2. Today, after having done this lecture, whenever you are free, go to lecture 2 recording also. All right. Finish that also later on. Is that okay, Garvesh?
Yes, sir.
Good. Instead of yes, students will be using affirm. All right. And we will end with our call sign. Victor Tango, Charlie, Bravo, Lima, stand by. Victor Tango, Romeo, India, Sierra, Rishi, how are you? Good afternoon and welcome to the class.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, it's Rishabh, not Rishi.
I am so sorry. I always get confused between
Yes,
you
sir.
and Rishi. I'm so sorry. I make sure I'm going to make the improvement now. So Rishi is Victor Tango, Romeo, India, Mike, right?
Affirm, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, correction. Disregard. Disregard is the standard phrase that you can use whenever you want to just let the other person know that ignore. I have just transmitted something very wrong and just please ignore that. So disregard. Victor Tango Romeo India Sierra Rishabh. How are you? Good afternoon and welcome to the class.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. And revise. See if you have any questions, Rishabh. You were there in the earlier 2 lectures. So note.
Affirm, sir.
Good, good. And we need some energy and some smiles on the faces. Remember, RT training you have to enjoy. Quickly, let's get done with Victor Tango Hotel Romeo Kilo. This is Hardik, if I'm not wrong. Good afternoon, Hardik. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir. I'm great. What about you?
Good, good. I'm very happy to see you finally attending official lectures. Welcome. And let's
Thank you, sir.
learn and let all our papers and licenses in our first attempt. Very good. Nice to have you, Hardik. I'm fine. Thank you. Victor Tango, Juliet, Yankee, Oscar. Jyotsna, how are you?
Good afternoon, sir. I am good. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon. I'm good. So happy to see you are attending live. And whatever sessions you have missed, whenever you get time, you will watch those whenever you get time. So you have to let me know once you're free. I'll share the links with you. Okay. Today you go ahead with the lecture. Whatever doubts you'll have, you'll write and you'll discuss them with me. Yeah. In case students who have joined us today, in case you cannot talk verbally, you can put your questions or queries or answers or comments in the chat box. The chat is only going to come to me. Simple as that. You can only message me. So don't worry. You can use that facility also. Jyotsna, very nice to have you. Enjoy the experience. Rishi, Victor Tango, Romeo India Mike. How are you? Welcome. How are you feeling?
Fine, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Nice to know. How are you feeling? Excited to do readability check?
Yes, sir.
Great. We have Victor Tango Hotel Alpha Romeo. Harsim, that was a pleasant surprise. I was not thinking you will attend lecture today. How are you?
All good, sir. What about you?
Good, good. How's the preparation for MET coming along?
Sir, almost done now.
Yeah, I can see that. That's why you're attending RT lecture. Very nice. Keep it up. Nice to have you in class. Welcome. We have Victor Tango November Echo Hotel. Neha, how are you? Welcome. Good afternoon.
I am good. How are you?
I'm fine, Neha. And if you have any doubts, please discuss. Yes?
Affirm, sir.
Yes. And Victor Tango Lima Alpha Kilo. Mumbai ground. Lakshya, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How about you?
I am fine, Lakshya. Let's study readability check. And Lakshya, nice to have you in class. Students, it's good to greet individually. Lakshya, see if you have any doubts, you let me know. Okay. I think Neha and Lakshya, you will be finding it too easy today. So make sure that you have extra focus on the calls that we are doing today. chances are that your mind would tell you that, oh, it's something I already have seen. But these basic lectures, initial first 5-7 lectures are very important. So we should not lose our focus. So today we don't have Arfat and we don't have Yoginder and we don't have Omar. So Arfat is in two minds. Omar is not feeling well and Yoginder, I think, is busy with his flying club issues. I think apart from that, we don't have Ishani. She might be watching offline. I think Vaibhav is a senior student who wanted to join, but he's not yet come in class. And Sushain is a senior student who didn't come in class. So it's okay. I think we are good to start. So students, today we are going to learn one of the checks. The moment I say check, it means it's a standard procedure. Okay. A check could be any sort of check that you have to perform. It has standard procedures and you have to do it accordingly. Okay. And we'll be practicing those today. And then we'll be discussing the basic call structure again. And then I'm going to show you readability scale. What is the scale 1 to 5? And we are going to see what are the ATC call signs also. Although I know I had written down something to do in the to-do list in the next lecture. But first we'll cover these things and then we'll do the to-do list that we had written down. So before we start, let's take questions. Victor Tango Charlie Bravo Lima, Mumbai Control, go ahead.
Mumbai Control, I had a very minor question. So I actually heard a lot of ATC calls on YouTube, like ATC towers and everywhere. So I focused on one thing, like that not a lot of them were using the control tower's name at all times. Like first transmission they were using it, but after that they were not really using it. So like, is it mandatory to use the control tower's name or is there any pattern towards it?
See, for us, first things first, for us in the examinations, it is completely important to use the place name and the ATC call sign. Mumbai Tower, Mumbai Ground, Mumbai Approach, Mumbai Control. That is something that today we are going to see towards the end of the session. Okay. What you are talking about is something that actually, when I was in the live environment, I have never seen that happen. But if that is happening, then the reason that is happening is because they have initiated the conversation at first on that particular frequency. And that particular frequency is a unique channel that is only with, let's say, Mumbai Tower. So that frequency is only available with Mumbai Tower. So they don't have to say Mumbai Tower again and again, because once they know the frequency is Mumbai Tower, so they might just skip the Mumbai part and just keep saying tower, 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 tower like that.
Okay.
To just save time and make sure the conversation is more faster, so that the clearances can be done more in a faster way. So that is one reason why they could be doing it, but we will not do that in the examinations. Okay. Yes. Sorry, students, I'm rushing a lot because initially, you know, couple of times it will be afterwards, the initial readability check you will only do, and that will happen within the first 5 minutes. Yes, Victor Tango Mike Alpha November, Mumbai Control, go ahead.
So,
Yes.
As you told in the previous class that one transmission or receiver called RT call, or sir, one transmission plus one receiving call called RT call. What is the right statement?
Both are right statements. When we talk about what is an RT call, anything that you transmit once, that is an RT call. It could be something that you are transmitting and some other person like ATC or some other aircraft is receiving, or it could be some other aircraft or some ATC transmitting and you are receiving. That is a call. Anything, any message goes as a single message, continuous single message. That single message becomes your RT call. So for beginners, if we are talking about what are RT calls, it is different from the normal phone calls that we talk about. A phone call is different. RT call is any single transmission that you make that becomes an RT call. Then you receive, that becomes an RT call. Then you send, that becomes an RT call. Then you receive, then it becomes an RT call. So one particular statement in one transmission, that is an RT call that we need to remember, not the set of communication sentences that make up the entire conversation. Those are calls. We are only talking about one call. Okay.
Sir.
Yes.
As the question asked by Victor Tango Charlie Bravo Lima, that can we use Sir, as in the you told us in the previous class that we have to write left side as a pilot, and in that you use Mumbai ground. So can we write Mumbai SMC?
Yeah. Abbreviations, as and where we have abbreviations, we will be using abbreviations. And I'll teach that to y'all. Let the right time come. Everything has the right time for you to learn, students.
Okay, sir.
Yes, abbreviations. As and where you can use, you will use abbreviations, but you will not speak in abbreviations. You will speak in the full form. Remember that, everyone. See, Air India 191 over here in the previous, these are notes from previous class students. Don't get alarmed who have not seen this before. So AI is the airline code for Air India. So we write AI, but we speak Air India. Similarly, there will be many such codes that we'll be using. So we will write codes, but we'll speak full form. Like POB is a short code for passengers on board. Here. So yeah, abbreviations as and when. The more abbreviations you use, the better it is. You will score more marks in the examination. Okay. So, good. Anytime, students, one rule. Anytime when you're giving me a verbal acknowledgement or a written acknowledgement, like Manshi said, Roger, then end with your call sign. We all have our call signs. Learn and remember, whenever you're giving a reply, you have to end with your call sign. Start practicing it from day 0. Simple. Today, we are going to start with a very simple topic. And students, whenever others are discussing doubts and questions, I want everybody to focus, okay? Because questions are important and you learn something from somebody's question. So please do not feel that it's a waste of time. There can be a day when you can also have a question. And the more you make the session interactive, the better it is. And the interaction is only done with the help of, what do we say? Questions and talking and acknowledgements. So Pratik is giving me a thumbs up on the using the stickers. So I can understand Pratik is following. So that's good acknowledgement. Okay, you need to let me also know whether you're following or not, because sometimes I'm speaking fast. Those times when you're not following, simply show this. Whatever you share between you and me is private. It won't come out. So yeah, feel free. So just to remind you all, what are we learning about or what are we here to do? We are here to do training or learn how to achieve this RTR-A license. Now, yesterday I was going through regulations to check if there have been any recent updates. Okay. And in the regulations, I found out that there is a better way to describe RTR-A license. So the one full form that we already know about RTR-A license is Radio Telephony Restricted Aeronautical. Okay, students who don't know this, you will find it out in lecture 1 and 2. The RTR-A. But in reality, in regulations, the license is given with this name. Make a note of it, everyone. Very important. When you will learn to start when you will begin your flight training, in case you haven't done it already, and in case you're learning in India or abroad, initially you will be given a FRTOL, basic FRTOL. That basic FRTOL is a simple exam that you will learn in 2-3 lectures only. You learn about that exam, and you need that FRTOL to, to get done with your training related flight radio telephony procedures. But to get a CPL, you need the restricted version of the FRTOL, which is actually known as, RTR-A. Okay, remember. So these two words are also important in case you are giving your Viva. So there are no changes in the pattern of the RT examinations. First thing, for those students who don't know, there was a huge, There was a huge issue going on saying that the WPC, the RT exam pattern is going to change. It is going to be easier. It is going to be different. Those who don't know, I'm telling you now that many students were waiting, and even WPC was waiting for the final decision. It was finally put up by DGCA that we will be changing it. And finally, it was taken up for consideration by the government. This is something that was, many activists were trying to do it since a long time. Aviation enthusiasts saying Indian RT is very difficult. It's a hurdle between pilots and their work profiles because they don't get it easily. So they wanted to make it easy, because other countries, the RT license exams are very easy compared to Indian examinations. I think it's a rumor, basically. If you prepare well, you will clear. Many of our students, like 80% of our students, clear in their first attempts. And you also will be clearing in your first attempt. So I just want to give you a heads up that at the moment, the pattern has not changed. The only proof we will get when our students give exams, that is Mumbai session happening in May. Registrations are closed. You guys can aim for the upcoming session. It can happen in June or July. Remember that. And if you want to give those exams in a month or two, you let me know after the session. Drop me a message so that I am aware how many want to give early, and I'll make sure that your training happens on a faster basis so that आपका RT license भी आ जाएगा, so that even you get your RT license quickly. And you don't need your computer number to get your RT license. So whoever is interested in giving the next coming attempt, it could be in June or July, but it will not be in Mumbai. It will be in some other different city. You have to let me know. Okay. All right. That being said, let's start. We will write the lecture number. You will also write it in your notes, lecture 3 and batch echo 22 is your batch. Write today's date also. Remember, it will be very important. Right now, everyone is present. But imagine Arfat and Omar are not present. For them, it will help them. Like that. Okay. What are we doing today? First, we are going to learn about a check. There are different types of check. We'll be doing a readability check. Also known as radio check. Okay. Note readability check, or there is a shortcut for check, CHK. Readability check is of okay. Readability check can be done on HF and VHF frequencies. Students, in aviation, we are highly dependent upon radio frequencies. Radio frequencies are invisible electromagnetic radiation. Okay, you will be learning that. I'll be teaching you that as well to prepare you for your part 2 Viva. So those frequencies have different bands. HF and VHF are the two frequency bands that we use for voice communication in civil aviation. High frequency and very high frequency. 3 to 30 megahertz, 30 to 300 megahertz. I think I have discussed that with you all in lecture 1. This is something that you need to focus upon if you don't really know. So readability check can be done on HF and VHF, both frequencies. It is done to check the strength of readability, inverted comma strength, inverted comma readability. That is how clearly are you audible to the other person, and how audible is the other person to you on a readability inverted comma scale inverted comma of 1 to 5? This is a very important question for your examinations. Okay. Now I have given it to you in writing, something that I could have easily explained to you in words. But I'm spending extra time and making the learning more slow. Why? Because I'm developing a habit in you to make notes. Right now I'm writing with you. There will be times when I'll only be speaking and you have to make those notes. Right? I cannot possibly write everything on the board. Otherwise the class would stretch. Right? But that is not needed. So you can make the notes in your own words when I'm talking about these things and I'm making flowcharts and diagrams and making it easy for you. You can copy the same notes. You can make your own notes. But these are important notes. I'm giving you a feel. These are different points on a scale of 1 to 5. Let's check the readability scale. And strength also. Strength and readability. For a layman who is not an aviator like us or a student aviator like us, he might think readability means reading with the eyes. Okay. In aviation, readability means the audibility. How clearly can you hear someone on a scale of 1 to 5? So although they say readable, but it will mean readable means we can understand and we can hear you clearly. That is readability. Okay. Readability scale. Let's check out the readability scale. And after we do the readability scale, I'm going to show you the readability check. Now here, strength or read you. There are two ways you can reply. Whether you can hear on a level of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. How will you say? You won't say level 1, level 2. You won't say 1-star rating, 2-star rating. You won't say all that. You will use aviation specific, RT specific words. Okay. So I'm making a table. In the table, the strength and the meaning will be given to you. Okay. This is a table over here. And the reason I have given on the left side strength and read you is because you can use either strength or read you and say the number. Simple as that. You can say either the strength or read you, one of the two. You can say read you 1. You can say strength 1. If anybody ever asks. Now, after this, after doing the readability check, I'll be performing a readability check with everyone, one by one, quickly, and you'll have to write it also. Okay. So if you can hear me perfectly, then you will tell me the relevant number. If you cannot hear me, then you will tell me the relevant number. If you can hear me, but the voice is breaking in between, you will tell me the relevant number. If you can hear me, but with a lot of difficulty, you will tell me the relevant number. And if you can hear me, but it could be better, then you will tell me the relevant number. It means there are 5 numbers meaning 5 different things. Okay. Let's start with the worst. Worst as in, I cannot make out what the other person is saying. Okay. 1. Generally, number 1 is good in other places in competitions, but no, not here. Read you 1 or strength 1, meaning unreadable. It means this communication we cannot go ahead with. Something is majorly wrong. Whatever you're transmitting, I cannot understand anything out of it. Unreadable. How will you respond if that happens with us or with you in the exam or in real life? Everything is applicable in real aviation. Okay. You will say strength 1 or you will say read you 1. If somebody says, how do you read? You will say strength 1 or you can say read you 1. Don't say radio 1, radio 2, radio 3. Some people think it's radio 1, radio 2, radio 3. Negative. That's not how it is. It's read you 1. when they ask this to us. Number 2, readable now and then. It means the voice comes and goes. There is frequent disconnection in between. It is never good. It's like fill in the blanks. You can't do fill in the blanks in radio telephony. Is everybody following? Please acknowledge. Students with their videos on can just nod your heads, no problem. Others, I want some sort of acknowledgement. Harsim and Jyotsna, your acknowledgement is pending. Okay, Jyotsna is put in the chat box. And Harsim, okay, in the chat box. Very quick. Good job, everyone. Very quick to do that. Very nice. Number 3, strength 3, read you 3, readable, but with difficulty. It's one of those times when you have to put all your focus and energy into understanding what the other person is saying, maybe because of a lot of background noise, because on the other side, or maybe the voice is muffled. Does it not happen when we are talking to our friends and family? Sometimes it happens a lot. Sometimes we say, yaar, teri awaaz bahut dabi aa rahi hai. In English, we say, yaar, your voice is not clear. You know, I can hear you, but I cannot understand what you're saying. It's pointless, right? In aviation, we don't want such risks. Readable, but with difficulty. Anything that is 1, 2, or 3, when you are doing the readability check, you should not go ahead with your tests. Your communication is as important as your aircraft that is fit to fly. Your communication is that important. So if your communication equipment is not good, that's the reason why your readability scale would be either 1, 2, or 3 when you are doing a readability check. And when do you do a readability check? It's one of the first checks when the pilot gets into the aircraft. And the pilot does that readability check every day of his or her job profile, or job day, or work day, as we call it. So 1, 2, 3, don't go ahead with the communication. Try to check what's the problem. Try to check your system. Call the engineers if you have to. Check the standby equipment and see. You need a readability of 5. If not 5, maybe 4 in dire conditions. But 5 is what we need all the time. So let's learn the other 2. Remember 1, 2, 3. It's not good for us. 4 is readable. Yeah, I can hear you. Not bad. I can understand. Is it crystal clear? No. What is crystal clear? Correction. What is crystal clear? Number 5. Read you 5 or strength 5. Perfectly. Readable. Always aim for 5. Note. Always aim for strength 5. If not 5, fall back on strength 4. It's okay. But try for examination purposes. We will always say, sir, I'll stick to strength 5. Otherwise, in dire conditions, 4 is also fine. But 5 is what I prefer. Remember, I'm giving you a couple of minutes. Memorize the table. You have to memorize the table. If you take it lightly, then you'll always be confused between 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. You'll always be confused between 2 and 3 if you don't memorize the table. I'm giving you a couple of minutes, memorize and see if you have any questions. Please ask those questions. And you can speak by raising a hand. I'll tell you when to speak, or you can speak when the channel is open. What do I mean when the channel is open? It's RT lingo, but when I say channel is open, it means when I'm not talking, the channel is open. We have a question. Sir, can we take 4 as readable, but can be better? Yeah, but you don't write that. That's not the real definition. The real definition is readable. But the meaning is, yeah, it's readable, but can be better. So when you are giving this as an answer, if somebody says, what's the meaning of scale 4? You say unreadable. And the meaning of unreadable is, I can read you, I can hear you, but it can be better. Like this, you will explain. Bhavin, you're following how to explain? These skills, students, that I'm teaching you how to say, how to speak, how to answer, learn them, because you'll have to give a personal interview after you clear your round 1 to clear your part 2 RT examination. Remember, okay? And whatever these tips and techniques I'm giving you, make a note of it if you cannot remember them. All right, fine. These things I'll keep repeating, but as and when they come during a question, that's when they will help you the most at a faster rate. Victor Tango Golf Romeo Papa, go ahead.
Sir, what is second one? Readable now and then.
मतलब आवाज मेरी आ रही है और बीच बीच में टूट रही है, तो पूरा सेंटेंस नहीं बोला जा रहा.
Okay.
आवाज बीच बीच में कट जाती है. नाउ एंड देन मतलब अभी आ रही है और फिर आ रही है, बीच में नहीं आ रही है. तो बीच में क्या कहा वो नहीं समझ आ रहा है. Got it, Gurpreet?
Yes, sir, got it.
Very nice. Victor Tango Charlie Bravo Lima, go ahead.
Mumbai Control, this might be a very stupid question, but if the radio check is unreadable, like 1 or 2, then how do we communicate that to the controller or whoever is the receiver?
You can always say standby, will call you back. Okay, something like that. You'll just say Mumbai. If let's take an example, everyone. Mumbai, I'm Air India 101. Mumbai Tower, Air India 101. How do you read? Simple. Okay, I'm not showing you what the check is. Let's say Air India Mumbai Tower response. Air India 101, Mumbai Tower, read you 2. They will say read you 2. Even if I'm doing a readability check, they will say read you 2. Or if I'm transmitting a message, if they cannot hear me properly, they can mention read you 2. So students, it's not just when somebody asks you how do you read that you will reply. Maybe like Bhavin was trying to communicate a question with me, and during Bhavin's transmission, if the Bhavin's transmission was breaking in between, then I could simply say Victor Tango Charlie Bravo Lima, read you 2, say again all, like this. So Mumbai Tower will say Air India 101, Mumbai Tower, read you 2, say again, like this, they will say. Then I'll say Mumbai Tower, Air India 101, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How do you read? I'll do it again. Maybe there was a temporary problem, so I'll do it again. They'll say Air India 101, Mumbai Tower, read you 2. They will say the same thing again. If that is the issue, it means something is wrong, maybe with my microphone adjustment. Maybe something is wrong with my instrument, my communication panel. So I'll ask the other pilot to do that on the same frequency. If the other pilot is able to do it, then I'll know that the microphone problem is with me, or my microphone has a problem. This is the microphone. Simple. So similarly, we'll fix whatever the issue is. Is it temporary? Is it permanent? Is it technical? Whatsoever. But we'll always try alternate things first, and then we'll come up to the final conclusion. So if after doing 20 minutes of radio checks also, if I'm not getting 5, it means something is wrong with my comm panel only. So the aircraft is going to get delayed, and engineers are going to be called, and the whole communication panel is going to be replaced, and a new communication panel will come in. Maybe a new aircraft will be given for that flight leg, or maybe the passengers have to take the delay for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever the time requires. Okay, so that's how important radio checks are. Victor Tango Papa Romeo Kilo, go ahead.
Actually, sir, I wanted to ask in a hypothetical situation. Should I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, take a situation. We are want to communicate with some other pilot, and we are reading him 5, but communication in the same language is not possible. So what should we do in that situation?
So now communication in the same language is not possible. Now, such a scenario will never come up. Why? Because everybody who is in the aircraft has to possess an RT license, and they will get the RT license by going through the RT training, which is universally same for everyone, no matter a person is coming from an English-speaking country or a non-English-speaking country. The chances are their accent could have a heavy mother tongue influence on their English. Like in India, we have certain students, like I have seen, their English also has a southern accent. Then I have seen students from the Northeast, not from the Northeast, but somewhere in the East, they also have certain weightage a certain dominant accent over English. Even if that happens, the radio telephony language is designed in such a way that miscommunications do not happen. So Pratik, different language will never happen. In case it's happening, then you cannot communicate. You have to inform the ATC because you don't know what the other person is meaning. So you can say that maybe some other trained person is in the cockpit. Maybe the pilots are affected or incapacitated. Maybe somebody else is trying to communicate. Maybe the pilots, something has happened to the pilot, and maybe somebody who's not trained is talking over the RT. Honestly speaking, if you have heard a lot of recordings, sometimes people use their national language also. Sometimes they use those words also. Real life, it is okay. Examinations, it is not okay. Pratik, if anybody ever converses with you apart from aviation radio telephony, you don't have to communicate back. You can just say read you one and end with your call sign. You can just say read you one. If you don't understand the language, you will say read you one, say again, and you will end with your call sign. Simple as that.
Roger, Victor, Tango, Papa, Romeo.
Good. Everybody knows the meaning of the scale. Everybody knows the scale. Any doubts? Let's go ahead. Let's do the readability check. Readability check can be done or carried out. More suitable word in aviation is carried out at number of occasions. I'm giving you the occasions in the full chart. Pre-flight, during flight, pre-flight checks are mandatory. During flight, you can also write as in flight, in or during flight. The more appropriate word is in flight. In flight checks can be done. I'm only talking about readability check, okay? In flight readability checks can be done as and when needed. So whenever you're trying to establish communications on a new frequency, you can always do a readability check as and when needed. So in-flight checks can be done as and when needed. Okay, it should be number 1 point only under in-flight, not number 2. Pre-flight checks are mandatory. Okay, so let's talk about pre-flight checks. On VHF, remember, this check we are doing on VHF. Now, whatever call I'm going to give you, I'm going to give it to you with an example of how your performance should be in the examination. In the examination, you divide the answer sheet into 2 parts. Left side will be your transmission, right side will be a reception. Just today, I was checking the recent circular by WPC announcing the new exams. And they have clearly mentioned in the instructions that you have to log all your calls in the examination. It is clearly given, logging. Logging is writing what we are speaking. Okay? So why not study it in the same way only? Because you have to perform it in the same way. TX transmission, RX reception. Let's assume that we are SpiceJet 719er. 9 is 9er, okay? And SG is the airline code for SpiceJet. You say SpiceJet, but you write SG, that is Sierra Golf. Remember ABCD and 1, 2, 3. I will take a special session on that, but later on. I'm not going to treat you all like junior KG kids. So I'm going to teach you a few advanced things first, and then I'm going to come back to the language. That's the best strategy to finish your training at a good level pretty soon. Not finish, but to bring you at a professional level so that the examiners can feel that, okay, the student knows, the student deserves to get the RT license. So how to do the pre-flight check? Okay, simple. First, we'll write the call. We'll break down the call. After that, I'm going to teach you two things: all VHF ATC call signs and a basic call structure once again. Okay, so let's first write the call. How to do a pre-flight check on VHF. Remember, there will be another pre-flight check on HF also, which is a little complicated, which we'll do later, not today. But the theme will be the same. Let's say we are at Mumbai airport, okay, and I want to talk to Mumbai ground. What are the possible ATCs? We'll discuss after this call. Mumbai ground, SpiceJet 719er on 124.6 pre-flight radio check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How do you read? Let's look at ATC reply. Students, for him, I was too fast. I'm taking a pause and I'm sharing the screen. I read the call again. Mumbai ground, SpiceJet 719er on 124.6, pre-flight radio check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How do you read? How do you read? Inverted commas. It's a standard phrase. It has a meaning. How do you read means what is the readability of my transmission? This is an important question that can be asked in the exam. What are the meanings of your phrases? One of the standard phrases that we are going to use is how do you read? It has a meaning. What is the meaning? What is the readability of my transmission? Remember, whenever I'm doing something like this, inverted comma, and in red, I'll write the meaning. It is a standard word and phrase. The more standard words and phrases you will use, the better marks you're going to score. Did you notice the point I have read as decimal? Remember that? We'll be covering it in the numbers and letters session also. Okay. Why am I doing pre-flight radio check? Because we will say there was a question. Assume a question. I'm writing the question down. Carry out a pre-flight radio check. That is the question. If that is the question, this is the answer. In the examination, questions will be given to you. This is how you will answer. Got it? Assuming other things like the flight plan, we know everything else. Slow and steady, you will be taught. Now let's look at the reply. In the exam, the reply will be within 5 to 10 seconds, but today we are taking time to show you what the call is about. Remember, we were talking about readability check, but now I'm telling you it's a pre-flight radio check. So whenever you're doing a readability check pre-flight, it becomes a pre-flight radio check, which is a mandatory check. So readability check is a common term. Readability check is a common term given to just checking the readability. The actual name of the check is pre-flight radio check. But when you're doing an in-flight, whenever you want to check, that is a readability check, simple readability check or a radio check. All right, let's look at the reply. Remember, in the exam, whatever replies examiner gives you, examiner will act like ATC, and whatever they say, you have to listen and you have to write. Where do you start writing from? You start writing from where you have left. Look at me, look at the screen. So I am imagining, and you also imagine that ATC is giving me something to write. I am the ATC, I am the student. So ATC is saying and student is writing. Think about it like that, okay? SpiceJet 719er, Mumbai ground, read you 5. How do you read? Did you see where did I start? I started from the line where I have ended. The reason you have to keep a log like this is so that whoever is checking the log will get to know who was calling first and then who was replying, then what was the communication chronology, who started first, who started second, because there is no overlapping. It's one-way communication, either transmission or reception. The first thing for log keeping. Now, the second thing, very important thing, which I'll reiterate whenever we are doing every call, is how to give the best reply. Okay, so read back, acknowledge, end with your call sign. Remember, read back, acknowledge, end with your call sign. Read back of the information given to you. What is the information? Read you 5. So you'll acknowledge that they can read you 5. Then acknowledge. How do you read? You read 5 or 4 or 3 or 2. Obviously, if they read you 5, you are also reading 5. You will also say read you 5, or you can say strength 5, and then ending with your call sign. 3 rules for replies. Read back, acknowledge, end with your call sign. Read back क्या होता है? जो आपने पढ़ा है, जो आपको information दी है, वो वैसे के वैसे ही बोलनी है. So here the information given to you was read you 5. So you have to say that as it is. Then how do you read? For that question, you have to acknowledge, as in give response. So आपको कैसे सुनाई दे रहा है? 1 to 5. You will say read you 5, or if it is duplicate, say read you 5 as a read back, and then say strength 5 as your answer to the question, and then end with your call sign. आपका कोई भी reply, it should end with your call sign. So look at it. The perfect reply to this would be read you 5, strength 5, SpiceJet 719er. This is where the check ends. In simple terms, this is one check. In the examination, this could be for 5 marks, 10 marks or 20 marks. Minimum 10, maximum 20. The exam would be for 100 marks. Passing is 50, but you have to score at least 65, 70 to have a chance to go through the second round. If you clear the first round, which is all that we are learning right now, only then you will be sent to the second round, which generally happens on the same day. That is part 2 Viva. We call it personal interview. So first, if you don't do this good, then there are no chances going there. So first, I'll make sure you have good hold on this. Once I start understanding the hold is good, then simultaneously I'll start your part 2 training also. Students, any questions? Feel free to ask. I'm addressing one question. There's one question. Isn't it mandatory to mention the parking bay in the first call? It is not mandatory to do in pre-flight checks. Any other check you do, it is mandatory to mention your position. But a pre-flight, correction, it is not mandatory in pre-flight radio checks. Okay. Only radio check, you have mentioned the frequency, that is more than enough. What is important in pre-flight radio check is the frequency. Where you are, you're on the frequency. You don't really need to tell your position at the moment. If you mention your position, it's not wrong. But it's not mandatory in this call, radio check. Remember that, students. Any other check, any other request, it is mandatory. Let's see. Victor Tango, Charlie Bravo Lima, go ahead.
Mumbai Control, this is what I was asking you about earlier. Like in the last transmission, we didn't use the receiver's name. So like, can we?
Bhavin,
yeah.
An explanation was given to you for the same question. Try to recall it. I'll repeat myself, but try to recall it also. Try to recall it.
I mean, is it because of the like continuation of the conversation?
Yes, something with that. Yeah, you are getting there. Getting there. Think about it. I'll come back to you. Bhavin, think about it. Answer was given to the same question. So your mind is not picking up the new answer. Your mind is sticking to the old questions or in old doubts. It's a normal thing to happen. Don't worry. Try to think about it. I will answer Jyotsna's question. We have a question. Aren't read you 5 and strength 5 meaning the same? Is it necessary to repeat? They mean the same. Why are we repeating here? Check it out. Focus. Jyotsna, you have to focus on this because this is something that we had also spoken about in first 2 lectures. I'll repeat it again. Don't worry. Whenever you are replying to ATC, you have to follow 3 rules. One is read back. The meaning of read back is repeat as received. Any information or instruction given by ATC to you has to be repeated back as it is. Right now, ATC has given us, in this call, ATC has given us what information? They have given us this information, read you 5, that they can hear us 5. So this information, read back as it is. So you are not saying, it is not the answer to the question that they were asking you, how do you read? It is a read back. I hope you all can see the yellow whiteboard markers, right? Everyone? Yellow is distinguishable, right? So this read you 5 is for the read back, for the sake of read back. Okay? And how do you read? I am replying by how I read strength 5. Reply. Either acknowledge or reply. Exact reply. And then the third rule is end with call sign. These are the 3 rules of every reply. This is where you will be, not you, but this is where students generally make a lot of mistakes. And this is where I'm going to train you to do better. Jyotsna, have you understood the difference? Yes. Students, you will be learning a lot of new things. So be patient with yourself. Give yourself some time to get up to speed, okay? Even though I'm teaching slow, it might seem to a few students that it is fast. Give yourself some time. If you think it is too slow, give me some time. We'll get there. Simple as that. Okay. Remember these points, okay? We have one more question. How can we acknowledge that we approaching Mumbai ground?
Generally, my question is which ground we are approaching.
Explain the question. Say again.
Sir, actually, my question is which ground we are approaching. How can we know that? Like we are approaching Mumbai ground, Chennai ground.
Yeah. We will come to that. Put that in the parking lot. We will come to that. Students, the last page of your books is the parking bay. Write down your doubts and questions which I have not yet answered. Okay. Or which you have not yet asked. Both. This is a pre-flight radio check or a pre-flight readability check on VHF. Okay. There are more parts to it, but we will come to it later when the time is right for you to understand complicated calls. First, we'll stick to simple calls. Generally, in the examination, student will be said as go to next question by the examiner. For those who don't know, the way I am sitting right now, you will be seated in the examination with a headset given to you. Behind you on another chair or a desk, there will be examiner whom you cannot see. They will also have a similar headset. Both your headsets will be connected. You will be given a desk. On the desk, you will give your examination. You will be given a question paper. You will be given an answer sheet. You will take your stationery, whatever scale, pencil, pen you want to take. And after that, and your admit card, of course, and your ID proof. And then they will start your examination. So they will be the ATC sitting behind you. All that I'm doing, pilot and ATC, the pilot thing you will have to do, ATC thing they will do in the examination. So you cannot turn back. Okay. So for you, it's like blind only. For you, you are just focused here. You don't know what the examiner will say. So the examiner will be your ground, tower, approach, control, HF, VHF, everything. Pratik, we are going to discuss which ATC to talk to in detail also, today also, little bit. So stand by, okay, for that. So readability check, everybody good? Pre-flight radio check. Let's do an in-flight readability check. In-flight readability check. A very simple check. I'll give you a question and then we'll write the call. Write down the question. You are at flight level 150. Carry out readability check. Now, in the exam, you will be getting more information, but the questions would be like this. Flight level 150 here means 15000 feet. That is 15,000 feet. In RT, we don't say 15. In RT, we only say 0 to 9er. If there is a double digit 15, we say it as 15. We will teach you that in a separate session. So 15,000 feet. So just I've given this question just to give you an indication that we are in flight. Where are we? I'm not showing you. Are we at near Delhi or Mumbai or Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore? No. We will not get into all those complications today. We'll be going into those complications Thursday when we do your flight plan and your map or chart reading day after tomorrow. So today, this is the question. I have to do a readability check. I will check everything. And like Pratik is asking, sir, how do I choose which ATC to talk to? I'll figure out which ATC to talk to. And this is the call that I'll take. Everybody write this readability check. This is in flight. A very simple call and not a lengthy call either. We'll take the same call sign, SpiceJet. Now, I'm not remembering the call sign whenever I'm taking the call. So what do? I check before speaking it. I'm checking again and again. If you notice, before speaking the call sign, I'm shifting the whiteboard to check the call sign. You have to be sure you're using the correct call sign. आपको याद रखना है आप सही कॉल साइंस यूज कर रहे हो. आपका कॉल साइन यूज करना है और एटीसी का दोनों कॉल साइन बराबर करने हैं. You have to use both the call signs correctly. You have to be sure in the exam what call sign is given to you. So I'll show you how to read the flight plan properly for that. So here SpiceJet 719er is my call sign. Let's go ahead with the call. Everybody observe and try to write with my rate of speech. Mumbai Control. SpiceJet 719er. Flight level 150. On 123.9er. How do you read? Let's look at reply. SpiceJet 719er. Mumbai ground. Correction. Mumbai control. Read you 5. How do you read? Let's look at the pilot reply. Read U5. Strength 5. SpiceJet 719er. Go to next question. Good for us. Whenever you are being said, go to next question. Good, this question is done. Let's focus on the next question. It's like that. You have to finish all questions in 25 minutes. That's the timer they give you. In reality, a real pilot, if you measure the real pilot's conversation with ATC and you time it, it's hardly 5 to 10 minutes overall on any leg. In the exam, you are given 25 minutes. So that way 25 minutes is in excess given to you to get done with any paper. So don't think that 25 minutes are less. Think all you need is 15 minutes in the exam to finish your paper. Here, let's observe the call. I have just mentioned flight level 150 for the sake it was given in the question. So whatever is in the question, you have to mention that. I've also mentioned my frequency. Here I am using hypothetical. Hypothetical means aisa hi veg, just for example. In RT exams also, couple of hypothetical data is allowed. In exams, you can either say the frequency by looking at the chart, or you can say any rough frequency. I'll say you look at the chart and then mention the frequency. So here I'm not saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you have observed the difference between the pre-flight radio check and this readability check in flight. What is the difference? I have not used the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Simple. Just mention the frequency, just mention the call signs and check the reply, read back, acknowledge, end with your call sign. Perfect reply. Replies have to be perfect. Now coming to a point of concern that Bhavin is facing or was facing and maybe everybody else is facing. Sir, why have I not used the ATC call sign in my reply? Correct, Bhavin? You were asking that?
Affirm. Victor Tango Charlie Bravo.
Why am I not using it? But why is ATC using it? Why is ATC using my call sign and their call sign? But why am I not using ATC call sign? So initially, whenever I say initially, it means the first two calls. Your call and ATC call. Those first two calls are like, hi Hardik, Alkesh here. Hi Alkesh, Hardik here. Like this. That is the whole meaning. Mumbai, control, SpiceJet 719er. SpiceJet 719er, Mumbai control. Simple. Communication established. We both know we are talking to each other. Simple. Then I'll say Mumbai control. If I'm starting SpiceJet 719er, 123 decimal liner, how do you read? Again, I can say that. So the initial two things are like you are knocking on someone's door, or in aviation terms, it is called as raising the station. Everybody write this call down. How to raise a station or raising the station. Before you can go ahead with any check, before you can go ahead with a readability check, or before you can go ahead with a pre-flight radio check, you have to raise the station. Before any check, you have to raise the station. Station will mean any ATC or any other aircraft that you have to talk to. This is point number 1. Whenever talking for the first time on any frequency to any, to not with or to any ATC, raise the station. Third point, only go ahead with your check or inverted comma check or request, inverted comma request, and go ahead, inverted comma. Only go ahead with your check or request when you are told go ahead by ATC after you have raised the station. Read these 3 points carefully. Before any check or before making any request, it means whenever you are starting to do something and you need permission of ATC, before starting, before asking for the permission, before everything, first take permission from the ATC to talk to them by raising the station. We raise the station. And you will only go ahead with your request or your checks when you're given a go ahead by the words go ahead. Okay. If they are busy, this is to check if they are busy or not. ATC might be busy with 10 aircraft which have departure before you. So you're not going to get priority. Those 10 aircrafts are going to get priority because it's a scheduled environment, scheduled aviation transport environment where everything is planned 3 months in advance. We have to stick to the schedule. So you have to raise the station. So raising the station sounds like this. Everybody write down. Raising the station. Let's say we are at Mumbai, okay? VABB is a code for Mumbai. I'll be explaining you all codes and everything in next classes. Mumbai ground. This Mumbai ground code I'm going to teach you today. Mumbai ground, Air India 101. That's it. The reply would be Air India 101, Mumbai ground, go ahead. This is raising the station. Question. Raise Mumbai SMC. Let's imagine that's your question. Raise Mumbai SMC. When they say go ahead, inverted commas, it has a meaning. Pass your message or proceed with your request. It has a meaning. This is raising the station. After the station is raised, I'll show you, okay? I'll show you this so that you understand when to use call signs and when not to use call signs. After the station is raised, you can still say Mumbai ground, Air India 101, pre-flight radio check on 121.9er, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How do you read? So here, after establishing the connection by raising the station, I'm still using their call sign, my call sign, and going ahead with my call. And now the reply would be, just to confirm, they will either say, read you 5, Mumbai ground. If their reply is read you 5, Mumbai ground, you just read back and you end with your call sign. There is nothing to acknowledge because they are not asking you how do you read. So you will say, read you 5, Air India 101. Done. Even they are not using your call sign, even you are not using their call sign. But what is more important is ending with your call sign now. They might use your call sign, they might not use your call sign. Ideally, I would use the call signs to make sure we are continuing to talk to each other because it's a first conversation, first time we are talking. Has everybody written down this sequence of calls also? Go to next question, GTNQ. This is not an RT phraseology. This is just RT exam phraseology in shortcut. Whenever I'm writing go to next question, it means this call we are stopping here only. When I don't write go to next question, it means this call we can continue realistically taking all checks and doing all requests and everything. Because pilot has to continuously talk about everything, right? Bhavin, does this answer your question in any way?
Yes, sir, it clears it. Clears it. Victor Tango Charlie Bravo.
Your job is to remember.
Yes, sir.
Remember. Anyone has any doubts? Giving you a couple of minutes. After that, we are going to start 1.5 hour break sessions. Students, I cannot give you breaks, okay, because we already have short time, but I don't really want to rush also. But we are trying. All this is trial and error. Initially, first few lectures are trial and errors. What's working, what's not working. You'll give me your feedback and everything. This PF, pre-flight, don't use this as a shortcode in the examination. Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, pre-flight. This, I will have to check with the recent abbreviations if this still stands for pre-flight or not. It could mean something else also. But because I had to speak fast, abbreviations come in use. So make this correction. Don't write this. Write this only. And in the parking lot, write the abbreviation. And we will check the abbreviation once I'll gather abbreviations also to share with you. Pre-flight, right? Just pre-flight radio check. I was a little fast on this call because I'll be giving you practice with all speed, slow speed, fast speed, and everything. Has everyone understood up to now what we are supposed to do and how and what about raising the station, readability check, and so on? Any doubts, anyone? Garvesh, you have a doubt? Yes, affirm, no negative. Yes? Is everybody following? Garvesh, are you following? All right, everyone's following. Victor Tango Golf Romeo Sierra. I'm waiting to hear from you. Okay. All right. Harsim, any issues? You're giving me a negative symbol. Victor Tango Hotel Alpha Romeo. Something wrong?
Negative, sir.
Okay, fine. Learn to end with your call sign, whatever responses you're giving me verbally, students. Remember, remember, remember. Okay? Now we have a question. Why did we not mention the readability scale while performing in-flight check? Because it's not mandatory. In-flight readability check, you can simply do how do you read. If you want, you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's not mandatory, so we don't use it. We can normally do an in-flight readability check, just how do you read. But in a pre-flight check or a pre-flight radio check, it is mandatory to use it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So at a pilot's discretion, you want to use in an in-flight radio check, in-flight readability check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you can use that. Not a problem. It's not wrong. But why we don't use it? Because it's not mandatory. Generally, in-flight readability checks are done this way only. Students, everybody good, right? Anybody has any issues? Any problems? Gurpreet, do you think I'm going too fast?
No, sir.
Fast bol raha hu?
No, sir, it's okay. Good.
Good, good. Anyway, after the session, whoever feels like giving me a feedback, do give me a feedback. Whether it was fast, whatever didn't work, only that feedback, okay? Whatever negative points you want to discuss after the session, do discuss that. Or whatever concerns you have. And in case we have to stretch 5-10 minutes extra today, please give that because we are starting something that is unique. Now let's talk about possible ATC call signs. VHF. Okay. I have a message. Actually, we are at a good speed today on Also Loving Today's lecture, learning a lot of things. I am happy because I think with the way many people make 5-minute videos, they are very fast, right? So I think everybody has gotten used to fast, or some students have gotten used to fast. They like it. But even if we are going slow, it is only for your benefit to study in class and not have any burden of studying later on. So remember, okay, both are good for us. Possible ATC call signs only on VHF I'm talking about. I'm not talking about HF anything anytime right now. SMC, number one, full form for SMC is surface movement control, and the call sign is ground, and the short code is GND. So you have this ATC. So we'll make it into a table. ATC, full form, call sign, and abbreviation. This is number one. Number two, TWR, full form, tower, call sign, tower, short code, TWR, simple. This short code abbreviation is for ground. You can also use a SMC in place of ground. Both work. Both work. But the call sign is ground. So how do we use call sign? Place name, that is your airport. So Pratik, when you were asking me the question, you were saying, sir, Mumbai ground or Chennai ground. You will never be confused between Mumbai ground and Chennai ground, because on your flight plan, your departure aerodrome will be Mumbai. So you'll be calling Mumbai ground only. Your confusion would be when to call Mumbai ground and when to call Mumbai tower, or when to call Mumbai approach and when to call Mumbai control. But Mumbai and Chennai will not be a confusion. So at the moment, it could be Mumbai ground, it could be Mumbai tower, it could be Mumbai approach, Mumbai control, and so on. If you're thinking tower kiske aage lagana hai, ground kiske aage lagana hai, any airport that you want to consider, that is your point of departure. Jahan se aap take off lene wale ho, the point from where you're going to take off. Victor Tango Papa Romeo Kilo, go ahead.
Actually, sir, you told when examiner like asks us something, we have to note it up, right?
We have to write everything that the examiner also says. Yes, log keeping.
Yes. So we should write in like call signs, or like Mumbai ground will also work. Like we have to write like VABB SMC or Mumbai ground will too while writing.
Any, whatever you prefer. Whatever you prefer. I would say learn to write in abbreviations only. Right now, I'm not using abbreviations in all examples is because I want to show you that you have the liberty to choose between full forms, full letters, and codes. But in reality, the more codes you use, the better it is for you. So by the time you are professional with RT, you will be using codes only, and I'll ask you to use codes only more than anything else. Okay, good. Let's write down the next VHF ATC, and I'm writing it in sequence, okay? I'm writing it in sequence. At any major airport, all these air traffic controllers will be there. Firstly, by default, I have to talk to ground for some reasons, for some request. Then from ground, they will transfer me to tower. Tower will deal with runway related activities. And after tower will send me to this ATC. APP. Full form is approach control. Call sign is approach. And abbreviation is APP. Mumbai approach, Mumbai tower, Mumbai ground. I'm giving you examples also. Mumbai ground. Here I'll give you an example. No, we'll write Mumbai only all because one airport only makes sense. Learning on one airport right now. Mumbai tower. Example. Mumbai approach. This is Mumbai approach. And remember, you can write Mumbai approach through codes also, but codes and all you use when I teach you the codes. Simple. Number 4, the next ATC, which is the largest ATC. That particular ATC that is having the most area to control, known as ACC, full form, Area Control Center. Students, trust me, try to learn everything of RT in classroom itself. Remember, students, learn everything in your classroom itself. So try to keep complete focus. Area Control Center. The call sign is control. And the short codes are CTRL or ACC, whatever you want. And write down synonym to TMA. Remember, synonym to TMA will come to TMA later. Example, Mumbai Control, Mumbai ACC. Number 5, ATIS or DATIS. Okay, I'm giving you the full form for DATIS. ATIS is just the D removed out of it. DATIS is Digital Automatic Terminal Information Service. Sometimes you will see some people somewhere it might be written Aerodrome Terminal Information Service also. So automatic or aerodrome you write down. Aerodrome Terminal Information Service, Digital Aerodrome Terminal Information Service, DATIS or ATIS. Your call sign is place name and ATIS or DATIS, whatever it is. Like this only. You can say Delhi DATIS, Mumbai DATIS. You can say that. And short code is also DATIS only. There is no other shortcut for DATIS. Okay. Example, Mumbai DATIS. Now write important rules of thumb quickly. Note ATCs 1 to 4 are capable of two-way radio telephony communication. ATC 5 is only a broadcast. That is, you can only receive, but you cannot transmit or talk back. The transmission is computer generated voice or data. In terms of digital, it can be data also given to you in the cockpit. Note point number 1 and note point number 2, ATC 5. Note point number 3. Except tower, other ATCs may or may not be there at all airports. Only major airports have all 5 VHF ATCs and maybe more as required. Other airports, next line you'll write, other airports will have tower only, but tower is mandatory for all airports. So the meaning is, even if there is the smallest airport in the country, it will have at least tower. There are certain airports where there is no ATC involved, like backup small airports in villages, but we are talking about operational airports. Operational smaller airport will at least have tower, if nothing else. While other major airports can have approach and tower and ground, maybe not control. But all major airports like Mumbai, Chennai, Delhi, Bangalore, Kolkata, Nagpur, they all have ground tower approach control DATIS. Okay, remember that. DATIS is like FM radio. You tune to the frequency, you can listen. You cannot talk back. Okay, students who have not seen lecture 1 and 2, I think Neha, thanks to Neha, we were able to listen to the DATIS call for Delhi Airport. Neha, once again, thanks. That was very proactive and it was loud enough. And I'll share the number in the next class with you all. You can also do it in between. Okay. One more thing I would like to say. There is a special or dedicated VHF frequency used for communication. You can write COMM, communication with airline company dispatch office. That call sign will be airline name followed by dispatch. Example, Air India dispatch. So pilot sitting in the cockpit, if there is any issue, ATC says your flight plan has expired or something is wrong, your ladders are still attached, ground is not clear, something or the other, you can contact from the cockpit on a dedicated frequency and speak to your dispatcher also, or your dispatch office. Because your dispatch office deals with your flight clearances and flight plans and everything. There will be flight dispatchers assisting you. We'll say Air India dispatch, Air India dispatch, Air India 101, flight plan is expired, request fresh FIC and a fresh flight plan, like this, something or the other, internal matters. So I'll tell you something, my first experience in the field of aviation after my training phase was due to having an RT license, that I got an extra job to do ground movements for Jet Airways. Okay, and Jet Airways was the biggest airline back then. They had Boeing 777 also, and they had Airbus 330 also. The biggest planes I had seen after Air India 747 that I had seen during my training. So I got the opportunity and I took the job. For the first few days, of course, I didn't know, although I had my RT license, I didn't know how to communicate because everything and everyone was so fast. So a couple of engineers and couple of seniors, they took me along. Ground movements, pilots don't do ground movements, engineers do. So they took me along and I saw them. Then one day, only one person in 777, one chief engineer and me, they gave me the cockpit in a 777. Imagine. And I was just looking at everything and I'm like, I'm not trained on the cockpit yet. I don't even know where is the RCF radio communication panel. It was like that. But with practice, I got very proficient with it. Very proficient. And we used to do it like at the anytime. They used to, take me from here and there to for the ground movements. I was like, anybody who was playing this role of ground movements of aircraft was treated as a VIP on that particular shift. And for us, it was like, okay, car will come to pick you and drop you, and you have to go there and talk just because of the RT license. Just because of the RT license. So that's when the first time I spoke to Jet Airways Dispatch, because we wanted to get down from the aircraft, but the step ladders were not brought. And I had to go to another aircraft to do a shifting, but the step ladder was not there. And we cannot just open the door without step ladder. It's illegal. So all those permissions you need with ATC. So these things are actually happening on day-to-day basis. Something that you're learning, you're not just learning for the sake of clearing the exam, but it's a real experience that you will be, you'll be working out, you'll be doing these things, or people are doing these things. So the benefit here is that you're learning those things, you're learning protocols, plus you're learning the language, how to do it. And these skills are you're going to take these skills ahead with you, and these skills are going to help you clear your exams and be a better pilot in the long run. That's the whole agenda behind training you the way we are training you, in the simplest form, simplest ways. So you don't think that it will take more time. You don't think that it will give you less quantity of knowledge. It will not take more time. It will not give you less quantity of knowledge also. For you, what is important, follow instructions. Follow what is taught to you. And if not, keep yourself in check, keep revising, and let me know where you're facing problems. Now, everybody has done a readability check. Next class, Thursday, whenever you join the session, you will initiate a readability check with me and you will write the call. And no two people will transmit at the same time. If somebody is speaking, let the channel be open and then take your turn. My call sign will be, you can take any ATC and any call sign. You can consider me your home airport also, or you can call me Mumbai Control also, or you can call me Kolkata Ground also, whatever you wish to call. You can keep your call sign, your registration marking which you have assigned. You will write it and you'll write my response. Okay, and we will let everybody finish and then we will transmit. And whenever two people are transmitting at the same time by unmuting, we will think your unmute is as a PTT, push to talk. So have mutual this and let the other person speak, whoever started first, and wait for your turn. Okay. And while you are writing and doing it, it will be a little fast. It will be a little slow. Okay. After a couple of lectures, you can just do verbal test. You don't have to write every time. But initially, you'll have to write. Is the instruction clear, everyone? So any questions before we wrap up the session? Remember, 5 ATCs, possibly 6 people you can talk to VHF. Up ground, tower, approach, control, you can talk to. Company dispatch, you can talk to. But you cannot talk on DATIS. You can only listen on DATIS. DATIS will give you aerodrome, current, weather information, important for your departure. Those are call signs on VHF. Any airport, you will have these call signs. In the next session, I'll show you chart. I'll show you how to figure out. Okay. And the to-do things, we will be focusing on the to-do things from the previous previous lecture. And remember how to do a readability check. Remember how to raise a station. Remember the difference between pre-flight readability radio check and a readability check in flight. Also remember the symbols, the abbreviations, whatever, not the symbols, abbreviations. But I want you to remember how to raise the station and focus on the reply. Read back, acknowledge, and end with your call sign. Remember this, students. Plus, remember how to raise the station. And remember a couple of phrases that you have learned today. And readability scale, the value of readability scale, 1 to 5. Remember, all that we have done is on VHF. After map reading and flight plan, we'll start doing HF also. HF is a little complicated, but the call sign in HF is radio. And only 5 radios are there in the country. Mumbai radio, Delhi radio, Kolkata radio, Chennai radio, and Guwahati radio. So this is what I'll be teaching you in upcoming sessions. Flight plan, chart reading, more ground calls, how to select the right ATC, HF related pre-flight checks. Okay, and HF call signs. All right. All right, class. Thank you for being such a nice class. And just bear with me. Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. Okay. Just a second. Okay. Thank you for giving me your extra time. One sec. Okay, fine. This is just for backup for attendance, the picture. Okay. Thank you so much. I'll see you Thursday. I hope I don't have to give you a personal reminder from now on. Right? Now, you don't want me to personally give you. And remember, half of the students, I have shared the link directly with you. You have to request for the link 15 minutes before. Okay? ID password. The reason behind this is, firstly, I can verify genuine students are joining. In earlier classes, nuisance creating students had joined us. Okay. Second thing, when you send me a request password message, I know your admission is present. So it gives me time to mark your attendance beforehand only. But after try to request it, but me, I'm just like this, that okay, I know sometimes some student will send me the message at 2 o'clock. So I send it in advance so that we don't waste time. So keep 5 minutes extra if the lecture is 2 o'clock, if not 15 minutes. Okay. All right. Chalo. Thank you so much for being a nice class. See you day after tomorrow. Any more questions and requests? Drop me a message.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much,
Very
sir.
good, sir.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Most welcome, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Most welcome.